I'm currently reading a lot of books. I'm working my way through The Return of the King, and I'm thoroughly enjoying that book. I'm going to sit here and read The Nightmare Virus by Nadine Brandes. I am really enjoying this. I wanted to get about 50 pages in before I started to talk about it. This is following a boy or young man. He is a dual world kind of science fiction story where he is falling asleep in one world and waking up in another. One critique I have so far is that I don't enjoy when books ask a bunch of questions, like interrogation questions to themselves. I like for there to be sort of a rhetorical, sort of like the reader is encouraged to ask the question. So, about this book, the world is getting infected by a virus that is sending them into this dream world that after a span of like about a month, they go to sleep for the last time and they never wake up again. So he's trying to figure out why and how he can stop this from happening. So far, this is clean and has no cursing. It has no allusions to sexual content, obscene content. There has been like a scene where someone gets stabbed in the head, but I feel like that is a different kind of graphic than sexual graphic. I feel like it is a different kind of graphic. Another positive about this book, the enemy and the issue is concealed for a long period of time, and so you're trying to even figure out what the protagonist is trying to solve in the first place. Is it a group of people that's doing this? Is it just a matter of like a mishap or experiment that's gone wrong? I really like how enigmatic this is, and it's not just like so on the nose and obvious when you first get into it. I've already read probably about 25 pages since we got home from church. All right, I'll stop there and take a sip of my coffee. I'll see you soon. So it is the same day, and I've got my cold medicine here because I think I'm coming down with something. That actually is not too bad. Just wanted to update you guys on the nightmare virus. Something has happened in this book that I was not expecting, but this book has done a really good job of combining science fiction and fantasy, and something has happened. I'm not going to give it away, the spoiler, that has made this feel very whimsical, otherworldly in a good way. So I'm excited to see how those two things will sort of intertwine and progress. I will see you maybe tomorrow, maybe 4 days from now. I don't know. Hey you guys, so it is a couple of days later, and I didn't film but just one clip yesterday because I just was not feeling well at all. I am going to read my Bible. I am reading Habakkuk right now. I really enjoy reading the Bible one chapter a day and looking at Matthew Henry commentary on the Blue Letter Bible app. The Lord is speaking to the prophet Habakkuk. Habakkuk is praying, and then God answers his prayers. And it's a very simple fact. It's not profound per se, but that God answers. And the Lord is in his high place, and he's responding to us. He's not silent. This is my quiet time book that I'm reading currently. It is called Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret. Hudson Taylor was a missionary to China. He was born in 1832, and he was the founder of the China Inland Mission, which is now known as OMF. And it is a very well-written book. I just wanted to read you a quote from the first part of it. This is from E.M. Bounds. It says, "Men are God's method. The church is looking for better methods. God is looking for better men. What the church needs today is not more machinery or better, not new organizations or more and novel methods, but men whom the Holy Ghost can use." Bless you. Men of prayer, men mighty in prayer. The Holy Ghost does not come on machinery, but on men. He does not anoint plans, but men of prayer. Hudson Taylor had the same God that we do. His commitment to prayer was not just for the practice itself, but he was committed to the Lord. He committed to who he was. I really, really highly recommend, if you are unfamiliar with Hudson Taylor, the missionary biography genre in general, I highly recommend that you start with this. Hey you guys, I cannot remember what my last clip was. I have my Kindle with me. I got a really good way into the nightmare virus last night. Not much has happened that's worth updating, at least that's not going to be spoilery. And then Lord of the Rings right now, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to either skip the video a little bit or you're going to get spoiled if you're unfamiliar with the books particularly. So if you're looking to read those and you don't want to be spoiled, I'm going to give you 5 seconds starting now. Okay, that was 5 seconds, so I'm going to start talking about it. You had your chance. In the Two Towers, Gandalf has this afterthought that like Smeagol is going to serve a purpose, even though he's evil and he's been pretty much, his mind has been overruled by the ring. He's going to serve a needed purpose. And probably one of my favorite moments in all of the Lord of the Rings so far has been at the part that I just read when we're in Mount Doom. And Frodo and Sam have finally gotten to like the base of the mountain and they're almost to the entrance. Frodo is so exhausted that he pretty much like can't go any further. Like nothing would have driven him to go. No encouragement from Sam, no will of his own. You know, maybe not even if a troop of orcs were behind him. The only thing that fanned the flame for him to get to the mouth of Mount Doom was Gollum springing out of nowhere and trying to grab and steal the ring from him. And it's such a good lesson for us, is that really, you know, there's a sermon by John Piper that I love. It's called My Thorn for Satan's Shaming. And even though Smeagol was evil, he served a needed purpose that brought about what needed to happen. Even though Frodo, that he is finally tempted to discard the whole quest in and of itself and put the ring on himself, Gollum shows up again. Frodo is again saved by Gollum. The sermon I'm talking about, My Thorn for Satan's Shaming, is essentially where Paul talks about asking God to take away his thorn. But and I'll see if I can leave the reference to this below. But ultimately, like, the thorn turns out to be a means of great humility for Paul, which ends up magnifying the Lord. And so essentially the things that are our bane or our own sin or our own temptations, if they are submitted to the Lord, then the devil is shamed for his attempts to deter God's children. Even our sufferings are redeemed, and even our stumblings are redeemed. And you just never know how something is going to, what purpose something or someone is going to serve. Alrighty, y'all, just a very quick update. I finished The Return of the King yesterday. So this was my top priority read for this month, and I got it done. So I gave it 5 stars. Definitely in my top 5 favorite books. I think after reading this one and The Two Towers, I think I like The Fellowship the best. And so that is the 4th book that I finished this month. What else did I finish? I finished Building Her House by Nancy Wilson. I highly recommended that book. It is a great resource for Christian moms and wives. And then I picked up Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower yesterday, and I got to chapter 7, and I also had a Libby loan to listen to the audiobook. So far, I like it. It's cheesy. It's not something that I usually read. I like it. This is good. This is a Poppy Raspberry Rose. On my way home from the writing retreat that we just did, very excited to make that album. We have another album out and I can link it below. I'm starting to really get to missing my routine and just love my little kids, love my family, and excited to get back home to them and drink this delicious coffee because I'm needing it. Sunday tomorrow, it's the Lord's Day, and I'm listening to Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower on my way home. I'm on chapter 9, so I'm like 30% through that book, and it's good so far. I'm liking it. It's a very simple little story, but also it's a mystery, and so I don't know what's going to happen. Hello, it is much later. I did finish Crime and Poetry. I listened to this one mostly on Libby, and it was all right. I gave it I put 3 stars on my Goodreads, but it's probably like a 2.5. The ending was like slightly predictable, and the writing was a little bit, in some places, like subpar. As far as like the magic element goes, what's good about this that I enjoyed was that there's no like witchcraft things that are, questionable in that sense. There's no sexual content. There's like a possible romance, but there's no nothing is obscene, no language. I don't think there's one cuss word in this book. So as far as content goes, it's very clean. Also, the murder itself that occurs in this is not grotesque or anything. And so, you don't see it happen. You just know what happens after the fact. I enjoyed this for what it was, though. This was like Doritos in the book world. You know what I'm saying? Like, some books are like steak and potatoes, and then some books are Doritos. This is Doritos, but sometimes Doritos are good. I mean, I love a sweet, spicy, chili Dorito. And then I'm picking up Being Elizabeth Elliot. Got like maybe 35% through this book last year. And it's funny because I picked this book back up this month, like a couple days ago. And the last time I had opened this book was the exact same month, nearly the exact same day, because I had a receipt in the book that had the date on it. So I just thought that was really interesting. And this time last year, I was pregnant with my 3rd baby, and I was so sick that I couldn't even read. Like I was so exhausted and so sick. And so I just remember closing this book, never picking it up again. I was like, I can't even do this right now. This book particularly, I've read the first one by Ellen Vaughn, Becoming Elizabeth Elliot. And I absolutely loved that book. This book in her later life is less exciting as far as a narrative goes, because you feel like the arc of her story has already happened. Her husband has been killed and she's alone in the jungle with her daughter, and just the powerful story that follows. If you're unfamiliar with that, I highly recommend the first book. This one is just way more, there's a lot more details about what's occurring in the U.S. at this time and how that is affecting Elizabeth Elliot, her responses to it. And it's a lot more just some stuff that I'm just not way interested in. But it's important to see her responses and sort of her attitudes towards some of the things that are happening in the world. at this time in her life and how that forms her and how she deviates from that, or may deviate from some of the people that she respects, like writers that she respects. I really enjoy anything about Elizabeth Elliot. But as far as like, I'm tracking with you here, like it's a little bit of a commitment, more of a commitment than the first book was. And that's okay. That's okay. I have finished for the September Series Challenge the Lord of the Rings, Crime and Poetry, Series of Unfortunate Events, Book 2, The Reptile Room. What else did I finish? I think that's it.